Okay, so I'm going to run you through the operation of a couple of Biowash machines that we've got here. One battery operated, one petrol driven machine. We'll start first with the battery operated machine. First thing to do, always get in the habit of checking that you've got adequate battery pressure. Personally, I would advise use the machine for a day, charge it up overnight, get into that good habit, and then you should always never have a problem with it running out of power. It's easily charged, standard car battery. Just remove the waterproof case in here, just release that and charge directly from the terminals inside, so you can check the actual battery pressure there, so always keep an eye on that. Now, in terms of the machine itself, thing to remember is that your liquid, whether it be water, whether it be your cleaning products, is going firstly into the pump there. Everything's fitted with quick release connectors, but always check that they are engaged properly before running any chemicals through. You could see that one wasn't first time engaged correctly. So your fluid's going into your pump and then eventually out here through your regulator. Now the regulator, the accumulator, that's got a certain pressure in there. I think it's about 102, 104. If you let that drop too low, then you might find that the performance is dropping off, or that it starts pulsing a little bit. Okay, so you can always just keep an eye on that and keep it pumped up. It's a standard sort of foot pump fitting on there. So we've now got that far. So what we're looking to do is connect another quick release connector there onto our hose. Again, another quick release and we're ready to go. So always check that the connectors are in place before you let the machine run. So in theory now we're ready to go. One thing, so people do things different ways, but personally from my perspective, before I engage with the multi-nozzle there, I always turn the machine on. And then just to make sure that there's no air blockages or anything, I just run a bit of fluid through the machine first. Let the pressure build a little bit. Okay. You can see there I've now got a regular flow of material. So now at this point, put the nozzles on. So low pressure machines, we've got the multiple attachment nozzle there, and it's designed with the pencil jet nozzle there to project the liquid about 10 meters. But then to be more efficient and to remove the risk of any sort of blowback over your face or anything, we've got various nozzles, various fan jets for short work that will just reduce the amount of material blowing back and also the amount of material being used. So in theory, that's the equipment. Few bits and pieces now to remember once you go down the turning off and aftercare process. So the first thing we do is obviously turn off from there, but importantly, before you start releasing any nozzles, a couple of little things. Always just remember there's a fair bit of pressure built up in the hose and the lance now, so it's a good opportunity to, firstly you need to release that pressure, and if there's water pressure there, you can just literally clean down all the fitments and fittings, because the cleaning chemicals themselves can be quite corrosive. But before you detach anything, just make sure all the pressure is out of the lance there, and then just it's a simple operation of obviously detaching the fittings, and that's about as complicated as it gets. Few things to remember though, these are designed to not be run for long periods. Really, it should be sort of 20 minutes, half hour, and then let the pump cool down. So it's a 20 minutes, half an hour. Don't use it for any more than that before turning it off for 10-15 minutes and letting the actual pump cool down. And that's about as complicated as it gets, I think. That's pretty much the do's and don'ts with the machine now. Now, a couple of things to remember with either machine is that you can be using quite aggressive chemicals here, and it's important that you protect the pump by flushing them through with water each time after use. So if it's a pre-treatment or a day's cleaning, say either machine, just make sure you rinse the pump through plenty of water, and personally always rinse down all the terminals as well on the machine to make sure that there's no corrosion there. So now we'll take a look at our petrol machine here. On and off switch here, the revs per minute lever here, we've got our pulley cord, choke, and then our petrol indicator there. Okay, so if we're looking to start the machine, I would suggest obviously petrol on, then maybe about halfway on the choke, maybe about the same on the revs. Turn the machine on and we're ready to go. Before we do that, we need to just check, put all our connectors in place. So I'll turn the machine round. So we've got our connector there going into our source of liquid, whether that be cleaner or water. Very simple connecting points there in place there with a pin. And then again, quick release fitting. As you can see, new machine. Engage the hose there. Always check before you run any liquid through that the quick release is properly engaged. Onto your lance there, but again, before you turn the machine on, just make sure everything's in place. We've got again our multiple headed lance there, and now we're pretty much ready to go. So I've turned the machine on, bit of choke, bit of revs, ring pulley here. Let's see how we go.